Assalamu alaikum, gorgeous soul. Welcome back to this episode of the Rosalean Batool show. And I know I haven't uploaded in quite a while. That's because I've been resting and I've been waiting for Allah to give me the sign to record. And I literally got that today. So I was like, I'm not going to procrastinate on this feeling. I'm going to go ahead with it. So whatever comes from this episode is purely from Allah. And I'm just here to transmission and be the vessel to give you the message. So on my Instagram, I'll be talking about feminine energy and the actual source of feminine energy. And that is not men, money, your beauty, your intelligence, your career, which is what we have mistaken feminine energy for. And it's neither about having children, being nurturing, being submissive. When you actually think about all those things, nurturing, submissive, nurturing, how would you know you're nurturing? Well, you would have to have someone in your life in order to nurture. How would you know you're submissive? Well, you would need something in your life to know you're submitting to. So these are all action verbs that don't really describe feminine energy. When I think about feminine energy, 5 women come to mind. So I want to relay their story in my way, in a way that makes me understand what feminine energy is. So the first story is of Maryam alayhi salam. Now, Maryam alayhi salam, she is such the epitome of beauty. And in fact, I've spoken about this on my Instagram. The other day, which was like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we had workmen in the house and it was quite hot and I didn't want to leave my room because we just had AC put in my room, but we changed the AC to a better one. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in my room and just relax while my husband takes care of everything. And I'm just going to sit here and watch whatever. And I ended up watching stuff about private jets because I am so obsessed with planes. I have been obsessed with planes since I was young. I think my granddad used to fly planes in the army. So that's the reason why I'm just obsessed with them. And right now my obsession is the G500 Bombay Legacy. Oh my gosh, I'm in love. I just keep thinking about the interior and I keep visualizing myself and my children and my husband on that plane, just going to Makkah and just traveling by private jet. It's amazing. My mind right now is just playing so many scenarios of what that would look like. So anyways, I was in my room and my husband was coming up just to make sure I'm okay and give me snacks and everything. And he made a comment. It was so random, but it just like a light bulb went off in my mind. And he said to me, oh, you're like Maryam alayhi salam. I was like, huh? Because she received fruits in winter that were from summer, and she would receive fruits out from summer that were from winter. So I was just sat there like, oh my gosh, this is literally feminine energy. It's one of the reasons why I'm hosting my masterclass. Well, this episode will probably come out after my masterclass is done, but it's one of the reasons why I hosted a masterclass, how to transform from unhealed to feminine, classy, opulent without losing connection to God. So when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, right, that's feminine energy. Feminine energy is all about tawakkul. That pure, unwavering faith in Allah. To the point that even Maryam alayhi salam, when she got pregnant with Isa alayhi salam, and her reaction was, no man has touched me. Like, what am I going to say to my family? They're going to be asking me questions. She obviously was full of fear. And after she had Isa, Allah said to her, you be quiet for 3 days. Let your child talk. Like, that is feminine energy where you don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to fight no one. You don't have to express your worth to no one. Allah will do that for you. That's feminine energy. And Maryam alayhi salam, she's a perfect example of what it looks like to have feminine power, where the odds are against you. Like, come on, imagine you've had a baby without a husband. You're worried about being accused of being a harlot. And instead of you giving into the fear and the anxiety, which a lot of us does, she obeyed Allah's command to be silent, and she trusted that her child would talk. Girl, that's feminine energy, feminine power, feminine confidence. That she had so much confidence in Allah She trusted him. She surrendered. She was certain, convicted that Allah's judgment would pass, that whatever Allah wanted for her would work out for her in her favor. So I want you to apply that to your life right now. Where in your life are you feeling challenged and triggered and you're feeling like Allah is not there? And I want you to remember Maryam alayhi salam and think, oh wow, she was going through this. She was going through something so like scary. Can you imagine? Just scary. Your family, your people, your community are going to be judging you for having a baby out of wedlock. Well, that's what they think. How would you feel? But she trusted Allah. She said to it, she accepted her fate. She didn't have to prove it. She didn't say to her people, it wasn't me, no, it was Allah, and look at me, and I'm going to prove to you guys, which is what a lot of us women do, because we feel like we have to, and it's a people pleaser within us. We feel that we have to prove ourselves because we have been raised to people please. We have been raised to keep the good girl image, where we make everyone the center of our world and we don't make Allah the center of our world. We make everyone's opinions the center of our world and not Allah's opinion. So this is like the perfect example of making Allah's opinion and pleasure the center of your world, where you could be going through a storm, but you're smiling and you're thinking it's going to pass because Allah's got me. I don't have to prove anything. And it's so interesting. This video itself, it went viral on my Instagram where I talked about Maryam alayhi salam. And I was getting so many weird comments from random people that were following me and they just want to project their insecurity. I had random comments of people saying, who do you think you are? That you feel like you're so pretty, that you have to wear your niqab in the house because men are there. I was just like, okay, I just blocked them. I don't even reply to them. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that he will guarantee a house in Jannah to anyone who gives up debating, even if they're in the right. So that's just what I'm living on now. I don't need to prove myself. I'm just blocking. I have other people saying to me, this is not feminine energy. Feminine energy is about this and that. I'm just like, block. Then I have another person saying, I can't remember what she said. It was just random weird comments about either the way I'm dressed or my religion or just random stuff. So just blocking. And I realized that Allah's testing me to see if I actually believe in what I say. Because remember, when I talk about feminine energy, I'm also embodying it. I'm also going through it. A lot of people probably think that my life is perfect. No, it's not. It's far from perfect. I go through a lot of triggering moments. I have 5 children. Like, I live in a foreign country. I don't speak the language here. There's a lot that goes on in my life that I probably don't document, and I should really. But there's a lot of things that go on in my life that I just don't talk about because I just don't feel the need to. So I know that when I put content out, Allah's going to test me through that content. Allah's going to make sure that I'm actually practicing what I preach. And one of the ayahs that really scare me in the Quran, I think is in Surah Al-Araf, where there is a man in Jahannam and he's turning the wheel of a donkey or something, and the people are coming to him saying, oh my God, how come you're in Jahannam? You used to preach about doing good and all this stuff. And he said to them, I didn't practice what I preached. So that ayah scares me so much. And I know, like, in the online world of coaching, especially social media, we see people living the perfect life and we think in our minds that they're like that behind the scenes, and then you find out that they're not like that behind the scenes. Yeah, that's because they're not embodying. And I realized one of the reasons why my clients get really amazing results, number one, because of Allah. I pray about my clients to Allah. And secondly, because I embody. I know exactly what my clients are going through because I've gone through it myself. I've embodied the experience. I've come out the other side. I know every single it's like a micro steps, micro thoughts, micro beliefs, because I've been there. I know what it feels like because I've gone through the process. And I find that when a coach hasn't gone through the process of embodiment, they're never going to get their clients' results because they just don't know what it's like to be in that situation. I had a client the other day. She was talking about a family member that she feels responsible for. And I was like, I've been through that. I know exactly what that feels like being responsible for a grown-ass sibling. I'm feeling guilty about it. I've been through that. I had another client who was talking about thrush. I've had thrush before. I know what it feels like to have it. I know what it feels like to heal it. I know what you have to do and the thought processes and what you have to release from your body. I had another client who was talking about not liking her features or having self-image issues. I've had body dysmorphia. I used to think I was fat when I was skinny. And when I was skinny, I wanted to be fat. And when I looked in the mirror, I just hated my body. I've gone through all these processes in my life, and alhamdulillah, I've come out the other side healed. So embodiment is a really important process. When I'm putting content out there, people must be thinking, oh, she's talking so much air, but I actually have to go for an experience when I write content, especially potent content like the one I've been writing about recently that involves Allah. I have noticed that I get triggered. I go through some very triggering moments, especially with people, haters online, and Allah wants me to embody. So that's feminine energy. I'm not here proving nothing. I'm just blocking people. I'm just like, whatever. I don't know you. You don't know me. I don't have to prove myself to you. I don't have to prove what I'm saying to you because it's in the Quran. I'm just giving my perspective. And my perspective is valid because I'm going through it. I'm experiencing it. I'm living through it. I'm not just talking fluff or trying to make content that's viral. I'm actually going through it. I'm actually experiencing it at the same time that I'm writing about it and hosting about it in a masterclass. I'm going through the whole experience, and this always happens because I just know Allah wants to bless me with something. Okay, the second woman I want to talk about is Hajar, radiallahu anha. Oh my gosh, Hajar's story, when you think about it, just put yourself in the context. Your husband takes you to the desert with your newborn child, and you are walking, and he's not talking to you. And you're asking him, why are we here? And he's not answering you. And then he leaves you there with just a little bit of food with your son. And he doesn't say a word and turns away. And then you're running after him, saying to him, why have you left me here? And then finally you ask him, did Allah ask you to do this? And he nods. What would you do? What would you think? How would you feel? Well, of course, you would feel angry. You would feel resentment, bitter. You'd be crying. You'd be afraid. I know I would be in shock. I think that my body will go into shock of, oh my gosh, what is going on here? But when she realized that Ibrahim alayhi salam, her husband, received revelation to leave her and her son in the desert, she said, Allah won't leave me. Allah will not leave me. Allah will not put me through something that I can't bear. That's what that was her response to her getting confirmation from her husband that Allah has ordered him to do this. That's tawakkul. That's feminine energy. Where she just had unwavering faith that, okay, cool. Allah told you to do this. Yeah, that's cool. Allah's going to take care of me then. He's going to take care of me and my son. That is, just think about it for a second. I know like sometimes when we read about stories in the Quran or when we read these stories, we are so disconnected from them. But I want you to put yourself in her shoes. Just imagine that. What would be your first reaction? I know my first reaction would not be like, Allah is going to take care of me. I'll be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'll be scared. I've got a newborn baby. I'm going to die. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Then maybe later on I'll be like, okay, Allah's going to take care of me. But I know my first initial reaction would be, we're just going to die out here. There's no food. There's no water. It's hot. The baby is a newborn baby. Might die. I'll be thinking all the worst because as a mother, that's exactly what you're going to do. But her first response was, then Allah will take care of me. And then what did she do? She went between Safa and Marwa 7 times looking for food. And Allah was pleased with her action. Because just think about it for a second. Instead of her sitting there wallowing in self-pity and saying how horrible her husband is and blaming her husband and just getting bitter and angry, what did she do? She got proactive. She put her feelings to the side and she got proactive. And she thought, you know what? Food is not going to come to me. I'm going to have to go find it. I'm going to have confidence in Allah that He's going to help me. But I have to go and do something. I can't just sit here and blame my husband and think if I wasn't married to a prophet, this wouldn't have happened to me. And if my past didn't exist, you know how we all go through our pity stories where we start pitying ourselves. She didn't do that. She went straight to Safa Marwa, between Safa and Marwa 7 times, and she got proactive. She started looking for food. She thought about, okay, well, what can I do? I can go look for food. I can go and do something that's going to create a result. Because most of us, we think just by sitting and wallowing in self-pity, that's going to create a result that we want, and it won't. It will create the opposite effect. When we wallow in self-pity and feel like a victim, we end up creating more experiences to feel more of a victim. Haja, in this situation, she had more than every right in the world to feel like a victim. She had every right in the world to sit there and wallow in self-pity, of course, because she has a newborn with her. She's a mother. Her husband has left her. She has every right to feel that way, but she didn't. She didn't let her feelings take over, where she was just blaming outside circumstances. She got proactive and she started looking. This is what I mean a lot of the times when I talk about dua, with action. Even if you're feeling like the worst person in the world, still get proactive in seeking what you speak, in seeking something better than what you're in right now. Like, for example, I've been in a funk with my business for a little while. I just want to shift things around and do different things in my business that just show a different side to my brand. So it's not meshing together the way I want it to mesh. And even though I'm feeling in a funk with my business, I'm not giving up on it. I'm not saying to myself, let me throw in the towel and let me just forget my business and let me forget coaching, which is what I probably would have done a long time ago if things weren't going my way. But now I'm just like, yeah, I'm feeling this way, but I'm still going to carry on coaching, recording podcasts, showing up on my Insta story, showing up, recording videos. I'm still going to keep doing that because I like doing it. I'm going to have fun doing it. I'm going to seek my risk. I'm going to seek my reward, my provision through this vessel, which is my coaching business. I'm not going to give up on that because there's something good in it. The amount of DMs I get from women talking to me about they're wearing the hijab because they see me on social media wearing my niqab so proudly and so freely, it inspired them to wear the hijab. I get so many DMs like that. And I don't even talk about hijab on my Instagram. I'm not a religious page. I'm not a dawah page. I'm just here for my business to attract clients who want to heal permanently. That's what my business model is. But the effects of that, of me showing up every single day wearing my niqab, is that women feel comfortable and confident to do the same thing. I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. I'm just being myself. I'm just being 100% myself, even though I feel in a funk and I feel a little bit stuck with my business. Alhamdulillah, I have coaches. This is why I have coaches, to walk me through, because they are where I want to be. They're making millions. They have a different lifestyle, the lifestyle that I want. So I invest because of that. I don't invest because they have some secret information. I invest because I just want to embody their energy. I want to be around that kind of energy where they're thinking in solutions, not problems. So when I come to them with a problem, instead of them feeling the problem with me, they have a bunch of solutions because they've been through it before. That's what proactive means to me, where you don't stay stuck in the situation, wallowing over it. The same with Hajar. They don't wallow over being left in the desert when she had every right to. Think about it. She had every right to. Just like when we give ourselves the excuse, I have every right to feel this way. I was hurt as a child. I went through abuse. So many things have happened to me. People have walked all over me. We make excuses for bad behavior, or we make excuses for staying stuck in the same situation. But Haja didn't, and that's feminine energy, where you don't wallow in self-pity, where you don't make yourself a victim because of what's happening in your external reality. And what happened with Haja? She discovered Zamzam water. She discovered Zamzam water, and to this day, we drink that Zamzam water. We drink from it. Allahu Akbar, that's legacy. Feminine energy is about legacy. It's about what you leave behind. Not just like in terms of material wealth or possessions, but also a mindset. The beliefs you pass down to your generations, to the future generation. It's not just about material possessions. We drink Zamzam water, and we also run between Safa and Marwa 7 times to perform Umrah and Hajj. We do that. We are carrying on the legacy of Hajar. Doesn't that give you goosebumps? That's feminine energy. That is divine feminine energy, connection to Allah, Tawakkul. That even though, can you imagine, like, I ran through Safa and Marwa and it's long. And it's so easy for us now because everything is tiled. We have AC. But she climbed the mountain. Like, Safa and Marwa were mountains. That means you had to walk down mountains. You had to get yourself cut. There were rocks. She was doing that 7 times. And now we are following that legacy. And that's because she chose not to be a victim. She chose not to allow what had happened to her to deter her from what Allah wants to give her. Just remember, she could have sat there in self-pity. She could have felt like a victim, and the results would have shown. But the results show of what she decided to do instead and get proactive and control herself, control her emotions, and focus on the task ahead, looking for the blessings that Allah wants to give her. And Allah blessed her. There's a hadith that says Allah smiled when she did that. And Zamzam water came from her son Ismail's feet. And then she covered it, the Zamzam water. And then people would pass by and see her there. And that Zamzam water sustained her, sustained her son, created a little town, created a little village. People will walk past, and soon enough there were markets being set up. She became the focus. She created a whole town around that Zamzam water. She created economy. Like, listen to how deep it is. She created an economy. People used to stop there. She created shelter. Allah created through her. But because she refused to wallow in self-pity, so much blessings came through there. So much happened through there because she chose not to be bitter. This is very important because we get bitter about the most silliest of things sometimes. But Hajar didn't. She didn't get bitter. Neither did her son, because Ibrahim came and visited them long time after and she passed away. But Ismail was still there and he was not bitter towards his father. Just notice how deep that is. He was not bitter. That he didn't hold resentment in his body towards his father for leaving them there. So that's feminine energy, where you let go of any judgment, of any resentment, and any negative emotions that will bring you down and keep you in victimhood, and you elevate past it to focus on what Allah wants to give you. Because remember, when you're going through a testing time, just like Maryam alayhi salam did and Hajar radhiyallahu anha, they went through very testing times. But they chose to focus on the blessing rather than what happened. Because think about it, no amount of thinking about what's happened will change what's happened. No amount of wallowing in self-pity is going to change what's actually happened to you. It's not going to change the trauma. It's not going to heal you. It's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to change the past. But we have this really weird misconception that if I just keep thinking about it, maybe something will happen. No, it won't. Nothing will happen other than you feeling bad and you just sending that bad energy out to everyone. Whenever you look at haters or trolls or insecure people, you will notice it's because they feel like a victim. And when you're living your best life, they hate you for it because they want the same thing. I call haters confused fans because you become their obsession. If you can obsess about your past and your traumas and you have an obsession over it, you will become very obsessed with people who are confident. And you will try to bring them down, hoping that's going to make you feel better. Like I always say about victims are not good for society because victims create hateful energy. I'm not talking about children who are victims. And a lot of us still believe we're children. Like if you're a grown-ass person, past the age of 18, 19, or past the age of 25, I would say 18. I call my son, he's 12, he's a man. I treat him like a man. He has responsibilities, he has things to do. I don't believe in the concept of a child remains a child forever. And this is what the Western society is trying to teach you. Like I live in West Africa. Kids are no longer kids after the age of 7. That's what they believe here. They are men and women. So if you're saying to yourself that I'm still a child in my mind, that's the reason why I'm wallowing over self-pity, you're going to have to really recheck yourself and ask yourself, do I still want to believe I'm a child that can't get help? Because when you feel like a child, you feel helpless and you go back to feeling that helpless little child and wanting everyone to do everything for you and cater for you, and you get triggered by everyone and everyone has to walk on eggshells around you and you become just a really weird person to hang out with. I've been around those people that everything just triggers them. And it's just like, oh my gosh, can we just have a conversation where you don't feel triggered? You have to be so careful about how you mind your P's and Q's around them. That's not life. That's not normal. That's not normal human behavior. Human behavior is all about interconnectedness and interdependence, meaning like we help each other grow. We help each other thrive. If you're feeling like a victim, I can't help you thrive because you feel like I'm looking down on you. You feel like I'm being overly confident and arrogant because I'm confident. I just don't care about my past. I don't care about who hurt me in my past. I really don't care. It's not on my mind. I don't go to bed thinking about who's hurt me. But if you go to bed thinking about who's hurt you, I'm playing a victim, but then you want me to feel that same way. And when I don't, you feel angry about it, then that's a you problem. And that's what's going on in the world right now. When you look at all the atrocities that are happening in the world right now, it's because someone felt like a victim. Someone felt like a victim somewhere, and because they felt like a victim, they hurt someone. And that person that they hurt ended up feeling like a victim. And then they held resentment towards the person who felt like a victim in the beginning, but because they felt like a victim, they hurt that person. And now we have two victims hating on each other and resenting each other. And now the second victim goes on to hurt someone else because that first victim hurt them. And then now we have a third victim who's holding on to the resentment towards the second victim. And it's just a continuous cycle. This is why it's so important to embody feminine energy so that you can get control of your emotions. So I always say this thing, it's good to be in control of one thing, your emotions. Everything else, leave it to Allah. You need to get very good at controlling your emotions because your emotions can make you or break you. The only relationship you ever have is with your feelings. That's it. There's no relationship outside of yourself. You don't have a relationship with your husband. It's a feeling that's involved in it. That's the reason why you're in a relationship with your husband. If there was no feeling involved, you would divorce. This is why a lot of people get divorced because they say, I don't feel anything towards my husband anymore. So really, you're just in a relationship with your feelings. So if you can control your feelings, you make the world a better place. If you can control the feeling of when someone's hurt you, and instead of you hurting someone back or hurting them back, you instead send appreciation to them. You send love to them. You send just a feeling of love towards them. That is a healthier alternative than for you to hurt someone else. And I 100% believe that it's healthy for you to think nothing of your past. I believe with my soul that it is super healthy for you not to ruminate over the past except for the good memories. When I think about my childhood, I think about all the great times I had. Like, I was homeless. I could easily go into that feeling of, oh my God, I was homeless until the age of 14. I was bouncing between refuge, running away from my father. I could go into that feeling and think, oh my gosh, that was so hard for me. But what use is it to me? What is it going to do for me if I feel so sad over what happened to me? What is it going to do for me? Nothing. It's not going to make me richer. It's not going to make me healthier for certain. It's not going to make me a better mother or a better wife. It's not going to make me a better citizen of society. Definitely not going to make me a better Muslim. It's not going to make me worship Allah better. But if I was to look at my past and think, wow, I was homeless, but I was still having fun. That makes me appreciate my past. When I say to myself, oh my gosh, I was homeless. I remember sleeping in a mattress with all my siblings on just one mattress on a hard floor with no carpets, no furniture, nothing for like a good year, and going to school as well. But I went to school. My mom didn't get a chance to go to school. Her parents stopped her. Her parents got her married off at the age of 15, and she got pregnant at the age of 15. By the age of 16, she was a mother. I was homeless. We were homeless, but we still had a healthy cooked meal on the table every day. We still went to school. We still had extracurricular activities. Wow. That is a better feeling than for me just to focus on me being homeless and not having a father in my life. I didn't have a father in my life, but girl, I had a great time. I don't ever remember not having food on the table despite not having a father. My mom was good with that. My mom, Allahumma barik fi, may she be in Jannah. She really did her best for her children. She was a single mother with 6 kids. And although I had my problems with her, but I know why. Because she was going through her own time. She was growing up too. She never had a childhood. From a very young age, she was taking care of her siblings because my grandma was sick. And she had 8 children. My grandma had 8 children that she couldn't take care of. She was diabetic, always sick. and my mom had to take care of everyone. That is a hard job. And my mom wasn't allowed to go to school. She actually taught herself how to read and write. She went through a lot of abuse as a child, a lot of sexual abuse, a lot of pain. But she chose to not project that onto her children. And she chose to give her children the best life possible that she could do with what she had. And she gave us a great life. Even though we didn't have the best clothes or we didn't have the best gadgets, although I do remember a snooker table in my house. I don't know how my mom got that. My mom had a snooker table. We had a snooker table. We used to play snooker in our house. No idea where she got that from. I have no idea. And we would always have food in the fridge. She was on government assistance. Still don't know how. And I genuinely believe it's because my mom didn't hold on to no hate for no one. When she used to speak about people, her past, she spoke about her parents with the utmost respect. Oh my gosh, my mom, the way she used to speak about her dad and her mom, even though they hurt her, even though they did a lot, my mom did not speak anything bad about them, ever. My dad, she never spoke bad about my dad to me either. Ever. The things that she would say what happened to her, but from like a nonchalant, jokey way, with no like, oh my gosh, they did this to me, I will never forgive them. I never heard that from my mom's mouth. She would always say to me, leave it to God. Even though we weren't practicing Muslims, we were in between Christianity, Jehovah's Witness, Hinduism, a lot of other religions. She actually did not like Islam. That's the only thing I ever heard her dislike is Islam because of the men just oppressing the women. That's not Islam, that's culture. But anyways, she would not speak bad about anyone. She would always say, leave it to God. Just leave it to God. That was her motto. That's the motto I live by. Leave it to God. God will sort everything out. That's what she would always say to me. Rose, leave it to God. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to get revenge. When I would get bullied in school, she'd be like, Rose, leave it to God and go back the next day and show them who you are. That you are confident, you're resilient, and you're not going to back down. That's what my mom taught me. And I'm so grateful my mom taught me that, not to be a victim of my circumstances, because I wouldn't be here today. Like enjoying the blessings that Allah has given me. If I felt like a victim, I know for a fact the way I'm living right now, I wouldn't be happy with it. I'd be like, well, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, I wish I had a private jet. And I'll be complaining and doing all that stuff and say, I deserve a private jet because I went through so much trauma as a child. So just check yourself. What I really want to tell you, just to check yourself. When you're feeling like a victim and you feel like you have to project your feelings onto someone or to hold on to the past, remind yourself that it's not going to do anything for you. Feeling sad about the past is not going to do anything for you. Feeling like you went through so many traumas and wounds and like someone has to pay, it's not going to do nothing for you. It's only going to make you feel worse. It's actually going to exacerbate the wound. It's going to make the wound deeper. The only way for you to heal the wound is to let it go and to tell yourself better days are coming. And I'm choosing to be a better person today because the only moment that exists is now. The only thing that I can control is my emotions and the way I think and the way I feel. And I'm going to do a damn good job at it. I'm going to be so good at controlling myself and my emotions. I'm going to gaslight myself into believing that I have everything I need, want, and desire, and that Allah loves me. I'm going to gaslight myself. Because guess what? You do not believe anyone other than yourself anyway. You don't believe, if I said to you now, you're the most gorgeous woman in the world, you are so pretty, oh my gosh, you are gorgeous. If you do not believe that about yourself, no matter how many times I tell you you're gorgeous and you're beautiful, you will not believe it. If I told you you are rich because you have a roof over your head, you will not believe it until you believe it yourself. So that means you are the only person who believes yourself. This is why I don't understand how people can get gaslit by narcissists, because girl, you don't believe people. And I say this in the most loving way because I've been in a narcissistic relationship, and I said to myself, how the heck did I get gaslit into that situation? Because I don't believe anyone. So how did I believe this person? How? Why did I do that to myself? I don't even believe people. When people tell me I'm beautiful, I'm amazing, I didn't believe them. So why did I choose to believe a toxic person? Why? What was that about? Oh yeah, because I wanted to feel like a victim. Oh yeah, because I wanted something to tell me that I wanted the excuse to not be great. I wanted the excuse to not feel validated. I wanted the excuse to feel unworthy. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. I ended up in a relationship that made me feel that way because I was telling myself, I want this. Remember, where your attention goes, wherever your focus goes, is what you manifest, is what you become, is what you experience. Allah says it. He won't change you or your life until you change yourself, meaning change your thoughts, change your beliefs, change your feelings. Hajar could have sat there thinking, well, I'm traumatized now. I have a story to tell of trauma. I'm going to tell every single person that passes me by of how my husband left me in the desert with my newborn son. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine Hajar sitting there bitching about her husband, saying, can you believe what this man did to me? Do you think she would have gone further in leaving a legacy? No, right? She would be stuck in that same story forever and ever. And that's the story that would have been told. That's the tale that would have been told of how Ibrahim left his wife in the desert and she didn't ever overcome that. Okay, so that's feminine energy. So the next woman I want to talk about is Aisha radiallahu anha. Oh my gosh, Aisha. What do we know about Aisha? Well, she exudes feminine class. She's classy. Why? Well, Aisha was slandered and she was accused of adultery. And all the people in her community were talking about. And I remember she was married to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of mankind, considered the most honest. She was married to a high status, high value man in society. Every woman wanted to marry Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was married to him. So of course she attracted a lot of jealous people. And she was the only virgin that he married, and she was the youngest wife that he had. So she had a lot of jealous women after her, a lot of people who just did not like her. They may have not said it to her, but they did wait for the opportunity for her to get slandered, for them to show their true face. And this is what always happens with feminine women. When you are feminine, you let me just rebuke that statement. You experience, or you create experiences for you to embody more of your feminine energy, and you will create experiences with jealous people because you have to experience the opposite of who you are in order for you not to become that, for you to be able to discern that, oh, that person's that way, I don't want to be that way, let me be this way. So anyways, she was slandered. Girl, she had to go back to her parents' house because the Prophet ﷺ was not speaking to her, and she lost so much weight. She was feeling so sad that her husband felt this way towards her, like he wasn't speaking to her, because she loved her husband a lot. So she went to her parents' house, and then her husband came over, and Abu Bakr, which is her father, and they said to her, listen, if you did do it, ask Allah to forgive you. And Aisha radiallahu anha said, no, I'm going to wait for Allah to defend me. She turned her back. I'm going to wait for Allah to defend me. That's all she said. And in that moment, Prophet ﷺ received revelation that she is innocent. Girl, Allah defended her from the heavens. Oh my gosh. Allah sent down an ayah to defend Aisha radiallahu anha. That's feminine class, where you don't ever need to defend yourself because you know you have Allah on your side. If that don't give you goosebumps, oh my gosh, I don't know what will. Just imagine you have so much faith in Allah, your conviction in Allah. This is why I keep saying Tawakkul is the foundation of feminine energy. You have so much tawakkul in Allah that you say to your husband, who is the best of mankind, who high value man, that listen, Allah's going to defend me. Just watch and wait. Just see. And in that moment, Allah sends down a verse to defend your honor, and even stipulates a punishment in that ayah for people who accuse women, chaste, righteous women. It's considered one of the major sins to accuse a chaste, righteous woman of adultery. Not only did she get her defense, but she set a precedence. Precedence was set to Aisha radiallahu anha. Allahu Akbar. Listen, my value system is all about justice. When I read this story with the concept of feminine energy, I'm just like, damn, that's true feminine energy. You set the precedence, you set boundaries. You set the precedence for how people treat you and treat others in the future. This is why I keep saying, the more you embody your true self, you teach people how to treat you, and you also give people permission to be them true selves. And in that moment, when the Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha, rejoice, you have been defended by Allah. Allah has cleared your account. And then her parents said to her, well, go to your husband, give him a hug. And she said, no, I'm going to thank Allah. Girl, if that does not exude feminine class, feminine conviction, femininity, I don't know what will. Instead of her running to her husband, which is what we would all do, oh my God, my husband, because he's such a high value man, he's protecting me, and I'm married to the best of mankind. Instead of her pleasing him and begging him, she went to Allah and thanked Allah and made her sujood. Because Allah is the source of her feminine energy, not her husband. Even though her husband is the best of mankind, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah came first. That's feminine energy. That's femininity. The foundation, the source, the battery, what replenishes your feminine energy is not your husband, it's not the money, it's not your status, it's not your beauty, it's not your intelligence, it's Allah. You have that constant connection to Allah. You're constantly connected to Him. You're constantly with Him, guided by Him, loved by Him, convicted in Him that He's going to save you from every storm. He's going to save you from every tsunami, every earthquake. He's got your back. That's feminine energy. Another thing, notice, just like Maryam alayhi salam, she did not need to defend herself. She did not go around asking people, what do you think? What's going on? The only person she asked was her mom. She asked her mom, what is going on? What are people saying? Because that's her mother. Her mother is her most trusted confidant. Her mother told her what happened. But she stayed away from everyone. For 3 months, she stayed away. Can you imagine the stress you're going through? The whole community is talking about you. It's a very small community. You are married to a high value man, the best of mankind, a man who is connected to Allah. There's a lot of pressure on you to be perfect, to be that perfect wife where you don't ever make a mistake. Just like right now on social media, people expect me to be perfect. People expect me, because I wear a niqab, that I should be perfect and make no mistakes and be sinless. Just imagine that on Aisha tenfold, 20-fold. She's married to the Prophet ﷺ. And she's being talked about. People are talking about her, even her co-wives. But none of her co-wives spoke bad about her. But people were talking about her hypocrites. The people who wanted to see the downfall of the Prophet ﷺ were talking about her in a bad way, saying, yeah, she did it. That they saw her. They actually said that they saw her. They lied on her. Can you just imagine? You're a young girl and you're thinking, what the heck? Is this my life? So she hid and she just stayed away from everyone for 3 months, waiting for Allah to reveal that she was innocent, because she had that trust that He would. She knew He would. She knew that Allah would defend her. And you know what? I've seen this in my own life. I've seen this conviction play out in my own life. A few years ago, when I went through my own public, whatever you call it, flogging from an ex, and he created 100 different accounts about me, created a Facebook page exposing my body, my face, just telling people I'm a demon because whatever happened between me and him. I don't want to go into the details. But anyways, he did that for a good 6 months. And I had my first event, in-person event, and that was happening. He was contacting all the people that I was working with, telling them about my personal story. I would have people messaging me, calling me, prominent people, influencers, coaches in the Muslim community, telling me that I should come out and speak about what's going on. And I said, I don't need to, because I have Allah. Allah will clear this up. That's why I said that. Wallah, that's the first thing I said. Allah will clear this up. Don't worry about that. I don't need to speak about what's going on. I don't need to say my side of the story. This is not a conversation for the public. This is a private matter. But no one understood that. I lost a lot of friends. I would receive 100 DMs a day of people saying to me, I'm going to go to Jahannam, that I'm a disgusting Muslim, that I should take my face veil off because they know what I look like now, that I'm a HOE. I had so many messages. Like, I would have anxiety opening up my Instagram, fearing the worst, just fearing what else is going to be said about me. And guess what? I remained silent. I didn't say nothing about that situation. People knew that I was going through that, but no one supported me. No one said nothing to me. No one, hardly anyone. I'm not saying no one. Maybe a few people did reach out to me. I think I only remember one person, and may Allah bless that person. I always make dua for that person. But it was just one person who came to ask me, are you okay? I never had anyone ask me, are you okay? Like, what do you need? What do you need from me? They just wanted gossip because they saw that I guess it was jealousy. There was a lot of jealousy towards me because I'm doing what I was the first hypnotherapist in the Muslim space. I was taking a lot of backlash from being a hypnotherapist and being told I'm doing something haram, and now I'm working with black magic. And then I was going through this. So a lot of people wanted to see me fall. I know that. I just know that a lot of people want to see me fall. And I was wearing a face veil. I didn't take it off because I know in a lot of these situations, a lot of women would take their face veil off and just renounce their deen. But I didn't. Alhamdulillah, it's from Allah. So I just ignored it. That went on for 6 months. And I still went to that in-person event. I still showed up on stage. I still spoke my spoke, talked my talk. I still hosted my hypnotherapy session. And all the women who attended were like, oh my gosh, this is the best. This is better than therapy. I had all the women saying to me, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, even though what you're going through. Thank you so much for coming and just holding this session for us. That was the first time that the Muslim community experienced hypnosis at my abundance rewiring. So that was amazing. And I know a lot of people were shocked that I still chose to show up. Well, that's because I've been trained that way. Come on, girl. Since I was young, since I was a little girl, my mom used to always say to me, get back up. Don't you dare fall down, because falling down is for the weak. It's not feminine. My mom used to say to me, it's not you being a woman requires you to stand in front of people who hate you. That's just being a woman. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people don't like women. Just to see what's happening in the world, you will see that a lot of people don't like women because women are meant to have it easy. We're meant to receive. So, and guess what? That all paid off because I'm here now, thriving, living my best life because I chose to trust Allah. So if you're thinking in your mind, oh, that's only reserved for Aisha radiallahu anha. No, I've been through it. I resonate so much with Aisha radiallahu anha's story because I was slandered too because my ex was lying about me, saying that I cheated on him in the relationship. And that was, for me, that was the most shocking thing, because for my honor to be degraded that way, for that to happen, that was a blow to my gut. But I carried on. I didn't let that faze me. I just carried on showing up online. While I'm online, I'm getting comments about you're this, you're that. I was getting a lot of hate comments. It was horrific. And when I look back at it, I didn't realize how horrific it was because I'm just so used to it. I've been dealing with it since I was a child. I've been bullied a lot. So it's like my tolerance level is very high. I don't notice these things until when I reflect back and think, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised I'm still here. And it's from a place of gratitude and appreciation to Allah that I didn't give up. I chose to follow the purpose that Allah has on me. I have a gift. I have experiences that I know can help women. And that was my mission. That's still my mission. I was just so focused on my mission, and I kept gaslighting myself and telling myself, you know what? Something great is going to come out of this. It has to. There's no way I can go through this much pain and not experience pleasure at the end of it. There's just no way. That's not the way Allah works. Allah wants me to go through this for me to embody and become the woman that can be resilient online. And I don't think a lot of people realize how resilient you have to be in order to be online with a face veil. I don't think you realize how deep it is. That there's a lot of assumptions placed upon you because people think that because you wear a face veil, you're more righteous. No, I'm not. I just wear a face veil because I like it. I genuinely like it. If I was a Muslim, I would still wear a face veil. Yeah, I wear it for the sake of Allah, but I like it. And people don't understand that concept. They don't understand how I can like something that's for the sake of Allah. Because normally what we think is hijab is like you don't like it, but you just force yourself to wear it. Not really. I've been a model. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be uncovered and covered. And I like being covered more because people are forced to listen to my intellect. They are forced to listen to who I am rather than what I look like. And I love that. I love having that kind of control over people, especially men. I will have men who commented on my page because men are the ones who are most triggered by a woman who is covered. Even Muslim men, which is very interesting. I don't know why, but I think because there's so much pornography on social media, that just a lot of men are just so used to seeing women uncovered. So when they see a covered woman, they have to criticize her to make themselves feel better for not being able to see her. That's just what my assumption is anyway. So I know what it's like to be uncovered. I know what it's like to live that kind of lifestyle. And I choose this lifestyle all the time. But that's the thing. No one really understands social media. People think, oh, it's just so easy. Just go online. Everyone's going to love you. Nope. In fact, a lot of people hate you first before they love you, because they want to see how well you deal with the hate. It's really interesting. The psychology of social media, people will like leave hate comments on your social media, or they will send so much hate your way to see how well you rise above it. It's like this feeling that people get of like, I want to see if I can break her. And if I can break her, then she was weak. And I already knew she was weak. And I knew that she was weak, and I got to her, and I love it. But I don't like people having that kind of control over me. I like having control over my own emotions. I don't let no one have power over me, ever. No one has a right to have power over me other than Allah. Only Allah has power over me. I would never ever give anyone the time of day or any mental space in my mind for them to think that they have power over me, even in a situation. Yeah, I was scared. I called the police. I reported it to the police. They couldn't do nothing about it. But I didn't let it live rent-free in my mind. I carried on. I carried on showing up, posting content, recording videos, showing up constantly, getting the backlash of being a hypnotherapist, getting the backlash of, being called whatever by my ex, all this stuff that was going on. Alhamdulillah, I made it through and I'm here today. So this is your evidence. I want you to use me as a testimony that it just doesn't happen for the Sahabiyat. It doesn't happen for the Prophet's wives. It can happen for you too, if you choose to control your emotions and embody your feminine power. Okay, so the next woman I want to talk about is Khadija radiallahu anha. Now, Khadija is my favorite woman of all time. I love her so much. When I became a Muslim, I wanted to change my name to Khadija radiallahu anha, not radiallahu anha, but Khadija. But I wanted to change my name to Khadija. So instead I named my youngest daughter Khadija Rose. That's her name. Because that name is just glorious and amazing. So what do we know about Khadija radiallahu anha? Khadija was married to the Prophet ﷺ when she was 40 years old and he was 25 years old. Girl. So if you're thinking about biological clock and saying to yourself, I'll never get married because girl, look at Khadija radiallahu anha. Men wanted her. Opulent, rich, high-value men wanted Khadija radiallahu anha. They would send proposals their way and she would say no. And she was a successful businesswoman. She knew about business better than the men. She knew about the market. She knew about trading. She knew where to go, where to sell. She knew a lot about business. She was very, very business-minded, very successful as well. And she came from a very wealthy family. Men wanted her. Even in her old age, even when she had, not old age, I don't think 40 is old, just the beginning of life, but she had children too. She was a widow. They didn't care about that. You know how these red pill men say that we want a virgin and when a woman's not touched. Well, mate, Khadija radiallahu anha got married to the Prophet ﷺ because they always say a younger woman is more moldable. What does that even mean? But anyways, so don't tell the red pill men about Khadija radiallahu anha. They will just roll over. So she got married to the Prophet ﷺ. She liked him. She shot her shot. She asked her cousin to go and ask the Prophet ﷺ if he wanted to marry her. And his response was the most honest response. Oh my gosh, it just makes you so cute. He said to her cousin, like, how am I going to marry her? I'm poor. I'm just a shepherd. Because she hired him. She hired him in her business. That's another thing. She hired him. That's the power she had. The feminine class, the feminine aura. She hired him because of his honesty. And when she asked for him to get married, she asked him to get married to her. Like, girl, all these things. Like, I know it's like, of course, a man proposing to a woman is great, but I want you to understand this concept, and I think this is what's missing in the world. When you are not considered pretty, I'm not talking about Khadija radiallahu anha because we don't know what she looks like, but I'm talking about in this society. Only the 1% of women are going to get that kind of treatment where they're going to get proposed to and they're going to get all that submission from a man because looks matter. And this is not to say, girl, like before you come for me and cancel me, let's just be realistic. The pretty women who are considered very attractive get the most out of men. So they're going to get the man who's going to buy them Chanel bags, buy them flowers, wine and dine them, all that stuff. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen to everyone, but most people are average. average looking. I'm average looking. You're probably average looking. Your husband's average looking. My husband's average looking. I was this average. I don't think my husband's average looking actually because he's 6 foot. I don't know if that's considered 1%. But anyways, attractiveness, I'm just average looking. I don't consider myself like that, the epitome of beauty. Like the epitome of beauty in my mind, I don't know who is the epitome of beauty anyways. But I was average. I don't know why we were trying to compete to be like the 1% of beauty. That's what reserved for women who are extremely beautiful. Everyone else is average. So you're going to have to accept that sometimes you're going to get average relationships. And because social media hypes up 1% relationships reserved for 1% women and 1% men, we believe in our mind that's how it should be. We're not really. You're meant to work with what you have. Every man loves his woman. Every man who's married, who's in a healthy relationship, loves his woman regardless what she looks like. That doesn't matter. But if you're expecting your husband to be like flying you out private jet to Bali because you saw it on social media, you are lying to yourself and you are creating a problem in your life. If I look at my social media and I see women being flown out private jet, I don't look at my husband and think, why are you not doing that for me? I realize I'm in an average relationship. Average is not bad. I just want you to know, average is not bad. Okay. Another word average might trigger you. It doesn't trigger me because I'm like, yeah, I'm an average person. I've had 3 kids from a previous marriage. I got married to my husband. We have an amazing life. Average is amazing to me. It's beautiful. It's harmony. It's love. It's everything that I need and want. Average does not mean bad to me. But if I start comparing my husband, thinking, why are you not taking my private jet? How come you haven't got a private jet yet? How come you haven't taken me these places? If I keep doing that because I'm comparing myself to a woman who is stunningly, beautifully attractive and can get any man, including my husband, to submit to her, then I'm lying to myself and telling myself that I should have that. And another thing, I believe you can have that. My husband, Allahumma barik fi, he's an amazing guy. He does a lot for me. He does so much for me. But I also believe because I do so much for him. I'm not just receiving everything and just laying down doing nothing. There's a lot that goes on. The dynamic in our relationship is different. And people always comment about people who live close to me, who met me and my husband, they always talk about how our dynamic, they can just sense is very different. It's a completely different relationship to what they have or what they've seen. It's just different. I don't know what's different about it. I don't know. I really don't know. But I just know that me and my husband, we have a different kind of energy towards each other. I do for him, he does for me. We don't ever talk about it. I don't hold a grudge against him. He don't hold a grudge against me. It just flows. That's what it is. So anyways, with Khadija radiallahu anha, she proposed to the Prophet ﷺ. And I know a lot of women will be thinking, I would never do that to a man. I would never do that. Girl, if you find a good man, I'm not saying to you to propose to him. Don't get down on one knee. But back in the day, women who were interested in a man, instead of them going to the man and saying, I'm interested in you, they would drop the handkerchief in front of him or drop something in front of him and make him pick it up and give it back to him, give it back to her. That was the signal they would give to the guy that I'm interested. So it's similar. It's actually, I don't know when this changed, when the man would pursue the woman. I guess it's happened for a long time, but I'm saying there were nuances in society where women would propose to the guy or express interest in a man. Because think about it. When you actually think about it in real life, men don't know if you are interested in them unless you express interest. Otherwise, they're going to feel like they're creepy if they're checking you out or if they're coming to you. You're going to be like, oh my God, don't come near me. So men don't approach women until we express interest, either by looking, either by talking, either by giving a signal. That's natural. That's how us women tell a man that we're interested in him to pursue us. That's called consent. So when I look at the Prophet ﷺ and Khadija radiallahu anha story, I think about consent in this situation. That maybe he was thinking about Khadija, but he didn't know how to approach her. But she gave consent by telling her cousin to go out to the Prophet ﷺ and tell him that she's interested. And then obviously he gave her a dowry, they got married, and they spent 25 years together. So really from the man, what's expected from him is to pay you the dowry, make sure he pays for your wedding, That's what's a manly trait. But you still need to express interest in a man. That's just what I got from the story. So in case you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm gone past the age of like looking for a man, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you just need to express interest in the guy. That's still feminine energy. Doesn't mean you're a dunce. I'm not telling you to go on down on one hand and one knee. What's that saying? Get down on one knee and propose to him. No, that's not feminine. But you expressing interest in something is feminine. It's giving it the call. It's the mating call. Even in animal kingdom, the woman will still express interest by, showing off her feathers to the guy that she likes. It's just feminine. That's feminine energy, okay? So now the Prophet ﷺ spent 25 years with Khadija radiallahu anha, and she invested in his mission to be a prophet. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's not feminine to provide for a man, no. He was still a shepherd, he was still providing. But she still invested in him. Time, money, energy. She believed in his vision. So this is not for everyone again. Remember the Prophet ﷺ and Khadija radiallahu anha, they were in the 1% of relationships because he was a prophet. He was a very high status man. He was the best of mankind. That's considered a 0.0. He was just the only one, okay? There's no 1%. He's the only one. That's the only relationship that is off this world because he was a prophet. But she invested in his mission. When he came to her saying, cover me, she was his safe space. She invested in him. Even to the point, now this is what gives me chills, that Allah gave her salams. Allah gave Khadija radiallahu anha salams. That it makes me want to cry. Can you imagine? Angel Jibreel coming down, tell your husband that Allah gives you salams and a house in Jannah. Oh my gosh, I'm just, Allahu Akbar. That is feminine energy. You're getting salams from Allah. Oh my gosh, like, I'm a loss for words right now. Just imagine getting salams from Allah and a house in Jannah. Being told you're going to get a house in Jannah. Nah. I'm just flabbergasted. My flabbers have been gasted. Because I'm just like, what? When I read that hadith, I was like, oh my gosh. She really supported her husband. And look at what she got in return. She supported her husband's mission. She invested in it. She gave her all. She stayed with him 25 years and she died still married to him. And Allah gave her salams. That's feminine energy. She was a successful businesswoman, mother, wife, believer. That's feminine energy. That is just like deep trust in Allah, that even though I know how it would feel to give money to your husband or give money to his cause, but she did it from a place of love and trust and belief in her husband. She trusted her husband and believed her husband because she knew her husband was honest. She knew she married a good man. This is very pivotal, the very key point. She married a good man. So this is not for the men that if you marry to a man who just isn't good to you, this is not for him. If you're married to a good man and you know he's a good man and he's got great character, just know that wherever you invest in him, in time, money, energy, whatever it is, it's going to come back to you tenfold. I don't want you to believe in your mind that feminine energy is all about the husband providing for you all the time. Or like, what would you do if your husband lost his job? What's going to happen then? You're just going to sit and say, well, of course you're going to persuade your husband to go and get another job. But what are you going to do in that meantime? If you have a good man, you will support him, right? I know there's a lot of like debate around this, like, oh my gosh, don't ever invest in your husband's, ladies, because he's going to leave you for another woman. You're going to build him up for someone else. That's true. That's only if the man is bad in the beginning. If you're trying to fix a man, yes, that's what will happen to you. It happened to me. I was trying to fix the man, and I saw the red flags a mile away and I ran towards them. That was my fault. I thought this guy needs to be fixed. I'm going to fix him because I'm a healer. That's what I did. So you can't fix a broken man. You can't invest in a broken man and expect a great return. You're not going to get a great return. You're going to get a heartache. But if you have a good man who has good character, who's respectful towards you, who fears Allah, who loves Allah, who gives Allah his rights and gives you your rights, just know it's feminine as well for you to want to support him. in whichever way that he feels comfortable being supported by. Some men don't feel comfortable with their wives giving them money. Cool. Support him with emotion, just like Khadija did. When her husband, when Prophet ﷺ came to her from the cave running, saying, I've gone majnoon, I've gone crazy, Zammiluni, cover me. She covered him. She didn't say, what's wrong with you? Oh my God, you're not a man? Oh my God, you're crying in front of me? She didn't say that. She gave him the safe space, the emotional space for him to unwind and unpack. Because remember, the key point is he was already a good man to her. He wasn't hurting her, wasn't cheating on her. He wasn't doing bad things to her. He wasn't ignoring her, wasn't a narcissist. He was a good man before he became a prophet. He was honest. And she said to him, Allah will never disgrace you because you are good to people. You keep the ties. You help the orphans. You help the needy. She's telling you the characteristics of a man that you need to invest in, that you need to invest your time, your money, and your energy in. That's the kind of man. The guy who cares about other people other than himself. And feminine energy is about discernment. Another thing that I get from this story is Khadija radiallahu anha was very deeply intuitive. She had deep intuition. That's the reason why Allah gave her salams. She was deeply connected to Allah. And she listened to her intuition. That's why she was a very successful businesswoman. That's why she knew about trades. That's why she knew that the Prophet ﷺ was a good man. Because she saw the way he ran his business. She listened to people's opinions of him. Some women don't listen to the opinions of their men. They're like, what do you mean he's like that? To me, he's nice. But other people are telling you he's a demon. No, he's not a demon to me. Girl, he's a demon. Like, the whole world is telling you he's a demon. You're ignoring it. She had discernment. She didn't go for the men that were pursuing her, maybe because she heard bad things about them. But she heard great things about the Prophet ﷺ, and she went with that, the opinion. She listened to that opinion. She didn't think, oh my God, that's so geeky. Oh my God, she's so nice. I don't want a nice guy. I want a bad boy. She didn't think that in her mind. That's feminine energy. Feminine energy is about safety. Feeling safe in your body, to trust yourself so you can have safe relationships. Not have reckless relationships like most of us had. I'm one of them. I'm talking about myself here, girl. If you feel triggered, just know I'm talking about myself. I'm talking out loud to myself. It's not about having reckless relationships. It's about having safe relationships where you feel safe to worship Allah and be in a loving relationship. So now the next final lady I want to talk about is Asiya. Asiya was the wife of Firaun. I don't know if we can say radiallahu anha or alayha salam. I don't know which word to use. If you let me know in the comments. But I'm going to say alayha salam. No, I'm going to say radiallahu anha. May Allah be pleased with her. So she was married to Firaun, the worst of men. The worst. It's like Satan Yahoo on steroids. That was Firaun. And she wasn't a Muslim, but she raised Musa alayhi salam. I think that's what happened, right? Yeah, she was raising Musa. Yes, she was. And then what happened? She became a Muslim. And what we learned from Asiya radiallahu anha is that her husband tortured her for being a Muslim. And what speaks to me about Asiya's story, this is why I named my daughter Asiya, by the way. I named my daughter Maryam, Asiya, and Khadija. So my daughters have those names. And they actually embody the personalities of Khadija, my daughter Khadija, she's such a princess. Girl, she's a princess. Asiya is stubborn, and she is hard, and she is like direct and focused. And Maryam is like very, she worries a lot. Not worries, but she's very receiving of things. She receives gifts. She's just very calm to be around. So Asiya became a Muslim. And when her husband found out, he tortured her because she didn't denounce Allah. She refused to accept that Firaun is God. Now, what do you learn about this? What do you learn about femininity through Asiya? To never give up your belief system. To always be convicted and have confidence in who you are and what you believe. Even if your husband comes to you and tells you don't believe this, you're like, no, I'm going to believe it because it feels good for me. It's good for me to believe this. She knew believing in Allah felt good for her. It felt good for her to believe in Allah and worship Him. And it also created the divide. And this is what I want you to understand. This story, and a lot of scholars, I just don't like when scholars talk about Asiya's story in this way, to accept the abuse from your husband. I actually got told this a lot when I was in an abusive relationship, just to endure it, just like Asiya did. That's not the whole point of the story. The whole point of the story is she emotionally detached from her husband first before she physically detached. But detachment was there. Her husband was a tyrant. She detached herself from him. Literally, if you think about it, technically, spiritually and emotionally, she had divorced him already because she no longer subscribed to his belief system that he's God. And this is what a lot of us women do. We subscribe to a tyrannical belief system in our husband and tell ourselves that that's how it should be because I'm in an Islamic marriage with this man. What makes a man a Muslim? If he believes in Allah, prays to Allah, and he acts upon that belief system. How would you ever know that someone's a believer if they don't pray in front of you? Their actions, right? How would you know someone's a believer if they don't pray in front of you? If they never prayed in front of you, how would you know that they're a believer in Allah? By the way they act. So I mean by the way they dress. Some people can dress and be wolves in sheep clothing, but still be horrible people. It's their behaviors. So when she became Muslim and she said Allah is her Lord, she detached, divorced from Fir'aun's belief system. Because in order for her to be married to Fir'aun, she had to believe he was God. The moment she believed that Allah is God and he is not, she was divorced from him because that's what Fir'aun, that's his belief system. That the only way that she could be married to him and stay with him is if she believed that he was Allah, if he was God. And that's why he tortured her. Because she no longer followed his belief system. And I want you to understand this pivotal moment that when you are going through something, especially when it comes to a marriage, when you're leaving a marriage for the sake of Allah, and this is what people don't talk about, you can leave a marriage for the sake of Allah. Because I don't know about you, when I was in a toxic relationship, my relationship with Allah was terrible. I did not have the relationship I have with Allah that I have now back then. I didn't. The only time I turned to Allah was when I was in trouble. Other times I just forgot about him. But now I'm constantly in conversation with Allah in my good times and my bad times. Constantly in conversation. Always, even if I'm not talking with my mouth, my mind and my heart is there with Allah, talking to him, speaking to Allah, listening to him, making I don't want to go too much into it, but it's a daily conversation. That wasn't happening when I was in a toxic relationship. I felt like Allah is punishing me and I have no right to speak to him. That's how I felt because the relationship I was in was telling me that I'm damned to hell and there's nothing I can do about it. And I have to endure the hardship that's going to be put on me so that I can make it to Jannah if Allah wants that for me. That's the kind of relationship I was in. So of course, do you think my relationship with Allah was loving and connected? No, it was just non-existent. Praying was a chore. Making dua was a chore. Praying came from a place of resentment. I used to say to Allah, why do you make me a woman if you want me to go to hell? That was the belief system I had. And where was that belief system coming from? Not from me. It's coming from the person I was with. That was not my belief system. I didn't believe that. I never believed that before I became a Muslim. In fact, when I became a Muslim, I realized just how much Islam empowered women. The mere fact that when the ayah of hijab was revealed, the women tore off their waist aprons and covered their face, and the Prophet ﷺ remained silent. That's what made me revert to Islam, that women had a say in how they wanted to be perceived. All my life, I was told that men are the ones who forced women to wear hijab. When I read that ayah, I read the hadith with the ayah, I was like, oh my gosh, it was women the whole time. Women interpreted it that way. Women have a voice. We have a standing in society. We get to choose how we want to be perceived. I found that empowering. It wasn't a man. Prophet remained silent. He didn't say nothing to the women, tell them how, no, you dress that. Doesn't know how you know how men are telling us now? I think to myself, that's not the sunnah of the Prophet. When you have people like dawah men or whatever on TikTok and Instagram saying, women should wear hijab, you should teach women about hijab, blah, 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 hijab. It's just like, mate, the Prophet didn't even do that. That's not the sunnah of the Prophet. It irritates me so much because people might think that I get triggered. No, I don't get triggered. I get irritated because that's not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. If you look at the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ did not say anything to the women. And the only time he spoke about hijab was when a woman came in with a see-through dress and he looked at her accidentally and he saw her body. And out of love for the woman, he said to the woman, when you hit the age of puberty, he was lovingly advising her in private. He said to her, cover your arms, cover your body up until your wrists and up until your feet, and cover your hair. That's all he said, and he left it. There was no khutbahs for 55 years long on how hijab should be worn and what it should look like. There's none of that. That's not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't get on pulpits talking about the women. And in fact, when you look at the Quran, when Allah talks about hijab of women, he also talks about the hijab of men. Meaning, the hijab of women cannot coincide. It can't exist without men respecting the hijab. You can't have the burden of hijab just on women, because that's what's happening right now, and women are being sexualized. I was sexually assaulted in Saudi while I was wearing niqab. It was horrific. Well, it wasn't just sexual assault, it was horrific. It was, I nearly got raped. That's how bad it was. And I was pregnant with my second child in Saudi with my niqab on. The man could not see me, but he was doing all sorts to me. And that's what happened. That was horrific. But the reason why that's happening is because we are being told women only cover. And there's never any conversation about men lowering their gaze. That's the wisdom, that's the hukam of Allah. Allah talks about the hijab of women and then tells men to lower their gaze, because Allah knows the reality that women can wear hijab. I can wear a potato sack, I can wear a bin liner, and men will still find me attractive, because men are, that's their natural inhibitions. Whatever they see moving, they're attracted to. It's just the truth of the matter. So when men are not, the scholars are not talking, I'm not talking about scholars like, old school scholars. I'm talking about this people giving dawah from their wherever. I don't want to go into it. It stresses me out. But when they're just giving opinions without telling the men to lower their gaze, hijab will never be respected. To this day, it's being sexualized. We have corn with women in hijab. We know about Mia Khalifa. Why was she wearing hijab? Because men love that. Because men are not teaching themselves to lower their gaze. That's the hukam, the wisdom of Allah. That we're meant to have both sides of the coin. And when you look at relationships as well, you're meant to be in a pair with someone who has your belief system. Otherwise, it's going to collapse. The same way society is collapsing right now, especially when it comes to women in hijab. Men do not respect it. They don't respect it. I don't care what anyone says. They do not respect, especially Muslim men, do not respect it. Because they're not lowering their gaze. They actually find it attractive. Like, I find men are more hostile towards me because I cover my face. Even Muslim men, they will comment on my niqab more than women or whatever, because they get irritated by the fact that they can't see my face and they've sexualized it. They want to know what I look like behind the veil. I've asked my husband this, and he's like, yeah, my husband's confirmed it. He's a man. He's like, trust me. They're not commenting on your veil because of the deen. They're commenting because they want to see what your face looks like, and they're mad that they can't see it. That's the truth of it. So if you can see in society that society is breaking down, especially when it comes to hijab, and women are still being assaulted, women are still being hurt, women are still being harmed. No one cares about the hijab. No one's thinking, oh, that's a hijabi sister, I need to protect her. No man is thinking that, because we've seen women getting assaulted left, right, and center in public, and no one's coming to her rescue. I got assaulted in public. The men told me to take my niqab off. That was their solution. Take your niqab off, sister. Like, what? Are you not supposed to protect me? You're supposed to see my niqab. Allah says, wear the hijab so you're not harassed by men. So you're seen as a righteous woman. With that, me being seen as a righteous woman comes with benefits, protection. I'm not getting that protection in society. Why? Because the men are not lowering their gaze, and they're not protecting their eyes from looking at haram things. That's the reason why. So when they see a woman with hijab and niqab on, they see me as any other woman that they've been looking at. That's just the truth of it. And when you see that happening in society, just know it's going to happen in relationships. If you're with a man who doesn't pair with your belief system, there's going to be a breakdown where you're going to get harmed. As we see with Fir'aun and Asya, at least, radiallahu anha. You see that breakdown. She stopped believing what he believed. And what did that create? Violence towards her. Created violence towards her to the point that he hung her by her breasts and dipped her in hot oil until she died. Now, the amazing thing that I love about Asya radiallahu anha story is that she held on to her faith. She had tawakkul in Allah. She trusted Allah. She was laughing because she could see her house in Jannah. That's the level of trust she had in Allah, that in the face of death, she refused to denounce her religion and her belief in Allah. And she died with that. That's tawakkul. And I must this before you take it there in your mind, your cognitive dissonance comes up. Say, yeah, it's okay for me to be in an abusive relationship and get unalive that way. I'll go Jannah. No, that's not the whole point of the story. Allah has forbidden oppression upon yourself. If you can get out of a situation, get out. Because Asiya did get out. She left the relationship because the requirements of that marriage was for her to stay believing that Fir'aun was God. The moment she stopped believing that is the moment they got divorced. The moment the relationship separated, because they couldn't be in a relationship unless she believed he was God. So if you can get out of a relationship that's not healthy for you and toxic and abusive, do it. If you can safely do it. If you can't, just know that there's always a way out. Always a way out. Like I've had clients who were in abusive relationships and they got out after working with me. And now they're happily married in a better relationship. It's all about your mindset. Asiya had a robust, resilient mindset that no matter what, I'm still going to believe that Allah wants the best for me. I'm still going to believe in the face of death that I'm going to get a better outcome. So it's like, it's technically like, if you look at it energetically and mindset, you have to go for that death, that ego death of thinking the worst case scenario, like, oh my God, what if I die? Every woman thinks that way when she's leaving an abusive relationship. What if I die? What if he kills me? So we stay in a relationship hoping that's a better outcome than actually leaving it. I've been through that. I know what it feels like. I had to leave in the middle of the night because I was scared. But I did it because I believed in my mind that Allah's got my back. And if Allah's got my back, nothing can harm me. And that's exactly what Asiya was thinking. The oil is not going to harm her because she can see Jannah. That's what I want you to understand in your mind. She saw the vision of Jannah. You need to see the vision of your own Jannah on earth, a better lifestyle than to be in a relationship with someone who wants to abuse you. That's the point I want you to get from the story. Not that you have to stay in an abusive relationship and bear the abuse. Asiya was not bearing no abuse. She didn't. What would be abusive was if she stayed with Fir'aun and said to him, "You're God." That's abuse. And she would have endured the abuse of Fir'aun by staying with him and forgoing her belief system to believe that he's God. That's abuse. That's emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, physical abuse. And he would have physically abused her for even ever contemplating Allah. So she chose, no, a better life for me is to go through this path where I see Jannah. And for her story was that she ended up dying that way. She ended up getting unalived by her husband, but she saw Jannah. So you need to think about yourself. What's the best case scenario? If you're in a situation like that, what's the best case scenario? What's the best case scenario if I left? What would happen to my life? How much more healthier would I be? What will my relationship with Allah be like? That's feminine energy, where you have a vision in your mind and you pursue it with your intuition. You pursue it with your intuition, which is connected to Allah. Your intuition is connected to Allah. I know a lot of us think this is some woo-woo stuff. No, it's not. Allah says in the Quran that He's given the believers firasa. He's given us intuition. Every believer has it. When you pray to Allah, you strengthen your intuition. So you need to create a vision for your life that is led and motivated by your intuition, that you listen to those nudges. When your intuition is telling you do this, you do it because you know it's coming from Allah. Because remember the word womb. Womb is intuition. Your womb is connected to Allah. Allah talks about the womb and the miracles of the womb and how important the womb is. It's a root word of, in Arabic, rahim, mercy. Your womb is a mercy for you to use it to get to where you need to go in order for you to become the woman that Allah wants you to be. And that's feminine energy, being guided by your intuition. Never backing down. I know a lot of people think feminine energy is being nurturing and soft. No, it's being very relentless and very sure of yourself that no one can ever take you off your spot. That you have that ultimate confidence in Allah that you're on this path for a reason. And Allah would never ever embarrass you like that. And Allah would never hurt you or put you in a situation where you're going to get hurt. That's not Allah's attributes. Allah wants the best for you. That's feminine energy, thinking good of Allah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it went up and down, left and right. I know I went different places. I hope you understood my thought process. Please let me know in the comments because I love reading your comments about what you took away from this episode. And Sacred Feminine Power girls, if you want to get coached by me, you want advice on different areas of your life, and you want to study the tools that I've created in order for you to go from trigger to triggerless, from unhealed to feminine, then you need to join Sacred Feminine Power. Girl, you're going to get coached every month by me and every week by me in the Facebook group. So you could get coaching every month via Zoom. You just submit your question and I coach 4 women. And then we have a private Facebook group where I coach you every week. And you get to ask questions about the emotional regulation tools that you get access to. And also you get access to my hypnosis audios. You get access to the feminine energy hypnosis audio, which is my number 1 favorite audio for most of my clients. They just love that audio. So many women have reported getting married, getting more proposals, getting money, receiving money from nowhere, feeling healthier, feeling more in tune with their intuition, praying, reading Quran, waking up for tahajjud. There's so many benefits. The other audio you get is Deepen Your Intuition. Then you get Escape the Matrix. This is a very good audio, Escape the Matrix. If you're around toxic people, it helps calm your nervous system down. And you get access to my Attract Your Soulmate Husband or Marriage. So if you're already married and you want to change the dynamics in your marriage, this audio is great. So that's what you get access to, girl. You also get access to me monthly and weekly. So if you want to get a coach, you need some advice, you need some mentorship, you want to be in the vibe, you want to be around women who are healing or have healed and are now embodying their feminine power, join Sacred Feminine Power. I'll put the link in the description box. Click it, join it. I can't wait to see you there. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.